appears that President Joe Biden is not backing off his plans to nominate an anti-abortion attorney to a lifetime federal judgeship in Kentucky. This is even after they've gotten a lot of pushback. Despite strong opposition from Democrats as well as reproductive rights groups, according to a source recently briefed on the White House's plans. White House officials have refused to talk about Chad Meredith. That is the judge, that is the anti-choice judge that is being appointed to this lifetime Kentucky federal judgeship. This is ever since the Louisville Courier-Journal reported late last month that he is the president's pick for the soon-to-be vacant U.S. District Court seat in eastern Kentucky. The newspaper even provided copies of June 23rd emails from the White House to Governor Andy Beshear, confirming Biden's plan to nominate Meredith, a member of the Conservative Federalist Society who has fought against reproductive rights. So again, the Federalist Society, if it sounds familiar, those are that is the group in which all the conservative justices on the Supreme Court belong to that voted against Roe and had lied to get on the court in order to get a chance to dismantle reproductive rights. And yet the White House has said, oh yeah, no, we're definitely gonna nominate this guy. I mean, it's already pretty much set in stone. Oh, great. Wonderful. So now, look, the White House had initially told Beshear that Meredith would be nominated on June 24th. That was actually the day the Supreme Court had overturned Roe, which, as I remind you, caught the White House completely off guard. All the Democrats, the only thing that they seemed to be prepared to do was to blast out constant fundraising emails saying, oh my gosh, you quick, send us $15. Okay, but for what? You had all that ready, but you didn't actually have a plan to try to protect reproductive rights. In fact, the person charged with monitoring this Supreme Court decision was literally out doing a coffee run. And earlier that day, a staffer said emphatically, oh no, don't worry. They're not going to make a decision today. Trust me. Oops. No, complete and utter failure and absolute incompetence. I mean, considering how the leaked draft had been out for about 2 months at that time, and they had no plan. And it took them even longer to come up with a plan. But of course, this was actually their plan, to nominate an anti-choice judge to a lifetime appointment. Now, of course, Democrats are not happy about this. In fact, Beshear called the nomination indefensible. Representative John Yarmouth of Kentucky said the last thing we need is another extremist on the bench. And yet, of course, the Biden administration says, oh, yeah, no, but you don't understand. But we think we should have one on the bench, actually, for a lifetime appointment. 8 national abortion rights groups also joined in a joint statement saying that Meredith is unacceptable at any time, but especially on the heels of 6 Supreme Court justices taking away a fundamental right from millions of people. Even Tim Kaine decided to hop off the side of the milk carton because he was missing for the whole 2016 campaign. Nobody knew where he went, and then disappeared soon after. He came out and said, you know what? Not a good idea. Not a good idea, guys. He said, I do not think this is the kind of person that a Democratic majority should put on the bench. And yet, with all of that criticism, they have decided to double down. In fact, a source briefed last week on the White House's plan talked to HuffPost, and he said basically, quote, of the White House and this decision, they're defending it. They're defending it. And of course, look, I've reported on this where the White House called pro-choice activists said that they were out of step with the mainstream of the Democratic Party. Who's out of step? The vast majority of the Democratic Party supports Roe. The vast majority of the Democratic Party disagrees with the Supreme Court and their decision and wants to protect abortion rights, reproductive rights, wants to codify Roe. And yet, here is the White House making deals with Mitch McConnell to appoint a lifetime anti-choice justice to a federal judgeship. It seems like the White House and Democratic leadership are out of touch with everyone else. They're out of step with the rest of the Democratic Party. And I mean leadership, people like Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, Jim Clyburn, they all went out. And this is, again, after the leaked draft, they went and stumped for an anti-choice candidate for the House, Henry Cuellar, while he was being challenged by a pro-choice progressive woman. Their support, if they had thrown it to Cisneros, she could have won. There were just less than 200 votes that separated them. But you saw Pelosi, Cuellar, or I'm sorry, not Cuellar, Pelosi, Clyburn, Hoyer, all lining up, the establishment lining up behind Cuellar. And then having the gall to blast out fundraising emails saying, please send us money, and then elect Democrats that are pro-choice, when they just got an anti-choice Democrat elected in Texas and are now doing this. Democratic leadership is trash. And here's why. If you needed any more, they could not make an exception to the filibuster. And by the way, Biden has called for a carve-out for the filibuster for reproductive rights. But those, again, that's just words, right? They couldn't do that, though. They could do a carve-out, mansion and cinema, or no way in hell. But they did get a carve-out for what? Raising the debt ceiling. Suddenly, when you have to raise the debt ceiling, you have all the votes you could ever need. Why is that? It's because their stock portfolios are on the line. When it comes to their own money, that's when they care. But when it comes to reproductive rights, they don't give a goddamn. They aid and abet Republicans all day and even nominate them to lifetime positions. But it gets worse, if you can believe it. Because now it's been reported that Biden did this deal with McConnell. Well, obviously, why do you do a deal? I mean, you give them something that they want, but you're supposed to get something in return, right? Well, we actually don't even know what he's going to get in return. And neither do the Democrats in Congress. In fact, notable non-progressive Dick Durbin says he talked to the White House to learn more about the deal, okay? And here's what Durbin told the HuffPost, quote, I said, what's in it for us? Perfectly fair, legitimate question. If you're going to make a deal with McConnell, it better be good. It better be worth it, right? Now, of course, any deal that's worth it, Republicans are not going to take anyway. So let's just be honest about that. But the response from the White House was this, quote, they haven't given any specific answer. So aren't you supposed to actually get something? I mean, look, maybe Biden did, maybe Biden's just hiding Biden, right? And because he doesn't want to embarrass Republicans into going back on their word. And maybe it's something really good, but probably not. But the fact that they won't tell their own members what kind of deal they made, what they're going to get in return, And these are people who are going to be confirming this justice. It's got to go through the Senate. So you got to get Democrats on board, right? So, it kind of makes you wonder if this deal is any good. I'm not sure exactly what would be good enough in exchange for this lifetime appointment. But when Durbin was asked, here's what he said he would want: comprehensive immigration reform. Okay, well, depending on what's in it. I mean, you could have a conversation about it, right? I'm willing to have that conversation just to see what exactly Republicans will be willing to give up. Because I don't think they'll be giving up anything, really, not that much. But we know, again, Republicans are not going to give Democrats a good deal because Democrats always negotiate from a position of weakness and give away just about everything at the beginning. And they give up everything in order to get something tiny. And then they go and they call it historic. Historic. Look, a great example of that is the recent gun control bill, which didn't actually really have anything related to gun control in it. Didn't ban assault rifles, didn't ban high-capacity magazines, didn't even do a national red flag law. It just gave funding to states that are doing red flag laws. That's it. Nothing really in it. But guess what? Democrats did this deal. This was bipartisan, and that's why it was bipartisan, because it didn't have any gun control in it. And now they're out there saying, oh, historic reform. Historic reform. And then, well, what's funny is that once, once there's another mass shooting, and knowing this is America, it's going to be like, well, it's Tuesday, so any day now, we're going to have another mass shooting. We haven't already had one the last couple of days. Republicans are going to point at this, and they're going to say, look, we passed gun control. We did everything Democrats wanted, which is not true at all, but facts don't matter to them. And they're going to say gun control doesn't work. We need to give people more guns. That's what they're going to do. Okay? They're the world's worst negotiators. And so finally, I want to say, wakey, Democrats, Democratic voters, wake up. There's no reason for you to be sleeping. Unlike Joe, who's always taking a nap. You got to wake up. You got to see what's going on here. And you actually have to be able to see criticism and not dismiss it immediately. So here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't vote. Okay? I'm actually saying the opposite. I'm saying help us. Help progressives to get rid of the feckless Democratic leadership and to hold everyone accountable for what they do and what they don't do. Vote for progressives in primaries. And when you're not doing that, because electoral politics is a small part of this, okay? We need to organize, strengthen the power of labor, work towards building a real general strike nationwide. And a general strike, okay, only works if millions of people take part. And you're only going to get millions of people to take part if you have the organization, if you put in the work. Organization, groundwork, mutual aid networks, in order to try to sustain people while they do that. And that's just one thing. And that's one thing that could do real change. That is one thing that could actually force politicians to do something, because if you shut down the economy, it's their money at stake. Electing progressives to replace or negate people like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, as well as the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, that's another thing that you could do. But if we don't do that, if you don't start getting involved as Democrats and voting for progressives instead of the incumbents that have done nothing, then Republicans will continue to get massive wins and will continue to push us further and further into fascism. That is a fact. So why don't we get together and actually do something?